Hello guys, welcome you all to the 12th session of Pandas. First of all, I've created this day12.ipynb file and I have imported these two libraries. So let me run this cell and I read this nutrition dataset and I make my index name column as my index. Thereafter, let's read this nutrition.head, the first 5 records in our dataset. So this is all. So I have given the name of this today's session as going numeric. So as we will progress, you will understand why I have given this name going numeric. So first of all, let's see. I suppose this is the usual things that we do every day. So I do not need to explain you these things. Now, if you just look at the first 5 observations, so of this data frame right now, you will notice that in the current structure, even though most of it looks quantitative and number based. If you look at this column, let's say if you look at this serving underscore size, 100 gram, whatever the thing, calories is fine. Let's look at this total underscore fat, or let's look at saturated underscore fats, or let's look at sodium, or whatever these columns. So if you will look at these columns, so it looks very quantitative and numbers based. But it's actually not conducive to numerical analysis. If I want to perform a numerical analysis on this data frame, I will face a difficulty. And it is not actually conducive to perform the numerical analysis. Because why it is not conducive to perform the numerical analysis? Because most of the columns is having units. Most of the columns contain units. And if you, let's say, if you will see this column, serving underscore size, here 100 space and G is there. What it means? That means 100 is basically integer, then space is there and G is there. And this G is basically what? This is a string value. So overall, this is basically my string value. It is not a numerical value. If you will look at this column, total underscore fit, it is also a string value. It's a string value. So when the values inside this column is in a string, it is difficult for you to perform the numerical analysis. Let's say if I write here, if I want to access any particular column, just nutrition dot total fat. Let's say total underscore fat. I want to access this column, total underscore fat. Let's say this column, I want to access this column. So what you will do? If I will run this, I will get whatever value is there. But I just, let's say if I want to access only the first 5 records of this total underscore fat. So if I will add this thing, head, I will get the first 5 records. Just for my ease of understanding, I have done this thing. So if you look at this, for the first 5 record of this total underscore fat column, whatever value is there, corn starch or sherbet orange, they all are in the form of 0.1 G, 72 G, 0.2 G. So it seems like this is a numerical unit. This is a numerical quantity. But actually, it is not a numerical quantity. It's basically in terms of the Python, or in terms of this Python language, this is considered not as a numerical unit, or this is not considered as a number. As we understand, Python consider these things as a string because some string value is present here. So if a string value is present, so it is considered as a string. And since it is considered as a string, not considered, it is a string. So we are unable to perform a numerical analysis on the string values. So for pandas, these are strings. So let's say these are the total fat present here. If I want to add this, what I will get? Let's say if I will add 0.1 gram plus 72 gram. In normal calculation, if I will add 0.1 gram plus 0.1 gram plus 72 gram, what shall I get? I will get 72.1 gram. This is my normal calculation. But in Python, if you will add this 0.1 G plus 72 G, what you will get? You will get an error because you cannot add it. Fine. You are not able to add this. If you add point something, you will get an error because these are the string values and you cannot add like this. But let's say, let's write this thing. So let's say if we try to add these, numeric, if you try to add these values, that is, if you try to calculate the numerical sum, so what you will get? Instead of in the total fat column, in this column, if I want to calculate the sum of all the fat values inside this column, what you will get? You will not get this kind of value because this is it will concatenate all the values because these are the string values. It's something same as if, let's say, first let me do this, then I will explain you. Let's do one thing. Let's do this thing. Let's perform a numerical sum here. Dot sum. If I will do this thing, and if I will run this code, can you see what I am getting? I am getting this value. This is basically, what is this? Can you see? Can you see this? This is a very long string value. We get this really long string value. And this is not exactly we are expecting here. I want to calculate this sum. But what I am getting? I am getting the concatenation of all the string values that is present in my total fat column. So whatever records, that is 8,000 something records that is present inside this total fat column, whatever record is present, all those records get concatenated when I am performing the summing operation. Because if you sum the two string, you will get the concatenated string. Like, let's say, if I will write here Anup, A-N-U-P, Anup, this is my one string. And then if I will add, let's say, Varun, V-A-R-U-N, and then if I will add this, what I am getting? I am getting Anup Varun. This is basically what? This is basically a concatenation. So same thing is happening here. Same concatenation is happening here. And so basically what is happening here? Plus operator or some operator is applied here, and we are getting this long sequence of strings. And let me explain you one more thing here. If you will see here, if just by looking at the first 5 records in the total underscore fat column, you can see in this record 72 gram is the biggest value or the maximum value among these 5. I'm not talking about all the values, but if just by looking at these 5 values, you are seeing 72 gram is the bigger values among all these 5 values. But let's say if I will do, if I am doing like this, nutrition dot total underscore fat, and if I want to calculate the maximum value, max. So this max is supposed to give me the maximum value that is present inside the fat column, total fat column, whatever be the maximum value that is present inside this inside this total fat column, this thing is supposed to give me the maximum value. But if I will run this, let's say what I am getting. I am getting 9 gram. So what it means, other numerical functions, this is also this just like that sum function, this max is also one numerical function. So other numerical functions also don't apply the way we really expect them to. So why we are saying instead of, and you can see I have just not told you that 72 gram is a bigger value than this 9 gram, but still I am getting this when I am asking for the maximum value, it is giving me 9 gram. So we see 72 gram here, which is the second observation, which is my second observation. But when we say max on total fat, we are getting this 9 gram. The reason for that is that these are being compared as strings. They both these 72 gram and 9 gram are not compared here as a numerical value. They are compared as a string value. And when it is calculating the maximum string value inside this, so it is taking this 7 and this is 9. So 9 is having a higher value than this 7. That's why I am getting 9 here, 9 gram. Because the first value is the first this thing is calculated. So it is comparing, when it is comparing, 9 is having a higher value than 7. That's why this 9 gram is showing as a larger value. It is treated as a larger value, larger string value, not numerical value. That's why I am getting, when I am asking for the maximum value, I am getting 9 gram instead of this 72 gram. Or if there may be any other values larger than this, I'm not getting that. So it's clear that before we begin to do any meaningful analysis on this data frame, on the above data frame, we have to convert all the columns, we have to convert all the columns that contains units, like this column, or this column, or this column. So whatever the column which contains units, you have to convert all that columns. That means you have to convert this strings to numerical column. These are the string columns. So before performing the numerical analysis, you have to convert these string values or string columns to the numerical columns. Now the question arises how to convert it. So let's first do one thing. If you do nutrition here, let's say if you do nutrition dot info. So what you will supposed to get? If let's say you will get the data type of all the columns. If you do nutrition.info, you will get the data type. Can you see? Data type is object. Only few data type is int. Others are basically object. Object means string basically. So these data types are basically objects. Now, let's make the verbose false so that so Now, if you will write here, let me write, copy, paste it here. So make the verbose false, verbose, verbose is equal to false, falc. So what you will get? You will get this gets truncated. So when you look at this nutrition.info, we see that the issues we discuss here apply to most of our columns, because the more, so we see 70 in, if here, if you can see here, object 73 int 64 2. That means in all the columns, in the 75 columns that is present here, your 73 columns contain strings and only 2 columns contains integers, or they are numeric. That means this 73 columns is having some units. And in Pandas, the string values is, if you, strings in Pandas basically is, in results, you will get the object type, which is what we are seeing here, object type. So how are we going to fix this? So we will do it with certain steps. And a common method used to cast series and data frames from one type to another. That means here I need to convert this data type from one data type to another. Now let's see how I will do this. So to do this, first thing that is there is astype method. There's one method called, let me convert this changes to markdown. So the first thing is that the astype method, method method. Now, what is this astype method? So the Pandas has a very useful built-in method that helps us to cast a given data frame or series from one data type to another. So we will first explore this method, this astype method in isolation, and then we will see if we could use it to clean our nutrition data frame and convert those strings to integer values, integers. So let me create a new data frame here containing, so let me first create a new data frame here containing 3 columns with 4 values each. So let's create a data frame. df is equal to pd dot data frame, and we know how to create a data frame. This is not a big thing, this is a childish thing for us. So first thing that I wanted to write, let's create age. Fine, give it some age, 12, 13, 14, 16. Thereafter, create weight, WEIGHT weight, and let's write some weight, 41.1, 34.5, 34.5, 83.2, 83.2, 90.0, 90.1. Let's say this is my weight. Thereafter, let's create one more column, height, HEIGHT, and let's write the height. So inside this height, let's write 1.72, 1.74, 1.74, comma 1.91 comma and then 1.5 1.5 and then this thing bracket close. So we are basically, there is a data frame constructor here and we are passing 3 dictionaries here, Python dictionaries, which contain keys and values in the form of key values pair. So this, let's create this data frame first. So let me run this. So this data frame is created. Now let me access this data frame. So now let's see this data frame that I have created. I'm going to explain you. So these are the column levels. You can see these are the column levels. These are the column levels: age, weight, and height. Age, weight, and height with Python lists with different values. And here, at the time of the creation of this data frame, I have supplied age in the form of list of integers. So here you can see my age is in the form of list of integers. Weight column, in the weight column, you can see values is in the form of floating values, floating point variables. So the values here are floating point values. And the height, I have intentionally made the height as a string value. So height column, here by just looking at this height, it is not evident that this is a string. But at the time of creation, I have supplied here a string values by keeping it inside the single quotation, or you can also keep it inside the double quotation. So I have created this data frame having 3 columns and 4 rows. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 rows. Now, if let's say you will do here df.info, you will get everything related to this data frame. Can you see? It is showing my age column is int 64. My weight column is float 64. And my height column is object. Because in Pandas, a string is represented as object. And here also you can see data type float 64, int 64. These are 1, and object 1. So by just looking at this information, you get to know that this height is also my string. These are not my floating point values. Just if you are looking here, you can see it looked like floating point values, but when you will access this df.info, you will get to know that no, this is also my object. Now, if let's say if I want to convert this thing, let's first do one thing. This you have understood. Now let's do one thing. df is my data frame. So if I write df dot astype as type, and inside this column, what I have told you here, astype, the astype method we are going to understand. So I am going to show you this astype. I am writing df dot astype, and let's say I am passing float float here. Let's see what happens. If you just do this, I am getting, if you will look, before doing this, my age was int, was in the form of integer. Now, after doing this, after converting this into float, all my, even my age column has been converted into floating point values. Let's do one thing. Let's do df.info here. you will get much more clarity. If I will do df.info here, what I am getting? So I am getting int float object. So it seems like nothing has been changed. Why it seems like nothing has been changed? Because it is returning me this df.astype is returning basically a copy. So it is not making a changes in the original data set. So to make the changes, we have to we have to use the assignment operator, or you can do the in place parameter is equal to true. So let me do a do assignment operator. Let me write it, assign it inside df. And now if you will see df, you will get the clarity. See here, can you see? If I write df.info here now, so you will get to know. Now, can you see, after converting this df as type to float and then assigning it inside this, so that I want these changes to become permanent, because otherwise before it, because it is returning a copy, so this changes was not becoming a permanent. So to make the changes permanent, I have assigned it inside some variable called df. So, and again, if I'm doing this df.info, can you see now all the three columns get converted into floating point values? Now my age has also become float 64, weight has also become float 64, and this height has also become float 64. So this is one way to convert all the columns into a particular data type. As I have converted here this data frame into the floating point values. That is float 64. Now, there is one thing called, let's say, so here we have used this method to convert all of these columns into one common type. So if you are converting this into float, so all the columns are getting converted into floating type. Now let's say if I want to convert a particular column into a particular data type, what you have to do in that case? So let's say if I want, this is my data frame right now, this is my data frame in which my age column is having a floating point value, and I can see this. Now let's say I do not want to, I only want to convert one particular column, this age column, into a integer value. So what I can do for converting a particular column into a particular data type, what you need to do? For that, there is one option to do that. What you can do, you can simply write here df dot astyp type, and then in the form of dictionary, that is the key value phase, you have to write the name of the column. Let's say I want to convert this age column into a integer value. Right now it is in floating point value. So you have to write the name of the column as a key, and inside the value you have to give the data type. So I want to convert this into int, so I have written int here. If I will run this, I can see my only other columns are intact. The data type of weight and height is not changed, has not been changed. Only the data type of age column has been changed. Can you see this? This has been changed on. and it is better if you can, instead of this int, you can use this thing. You can use np dot ints. Let's say if you want to convert this into integer 16, so you can write np dot int 16. Fine. So this is one thing. So you have understood how to convert a particular column. This is with the help of a example. I have understood how to convert this particular column into a particular data type. Now you can apply the same thing to my original data frame and see how the things goes. So let's apply the same concept which I have applied here to my original data set, that is my nutrition data set, and convert those into a desired data set. So let's say if let's say if I want nutrition dot, let's say ilog, and here what I am doing, I want to access the till the third row. First rows comes, so I am writing 4. So it will access from 0 till third because the last is not included. And this is the row, and column I want each one of the column, every column, entire column. This is just for my understanding. I want 1, 2, 3, 4. So I am getting from 0 till 3. 0, 1, 2, 3, and every column I am getting here. Now this is my, let's say right now, this is my data frame, and I want to convert this data frame into a floating values. All the columns into a floating values. So if let's say if I will do like this, if I will, according to our recent understanding, if I will do dot astype and let's do float here, what you will get? You will get an error. See here, I am getting a value error here. What is the value error? Could not convert a string to float. That means why I am getting this value error? Here it get converted because there is no such string value, only the comma is there. It is to convert that into a string, this height thing, to convert. I have only put, while creating this string, simply there is a single quotation here I have put to convert this thing into a string value. But I have not attached any character or any character value here. That's why when I was converting this into a floating values, this height has been also get converted into the floating values, and I didn't get any error. But here what is happening here is, since the unit is present, this unit is present, 0.12 gram, 72 gram, 0.2 gram, let's say 2 point. So this cannot be converted, this string value cannot be converted into a string. That's why I am getting this value error. Could not convert a string to float. It cannot get converted, that a string value cannot get converted into float. This string value cannot get converted because there is this thing, then the space is there, then this string is there. So overall it is a string. Similarly, if you will do something like this, if you will do something like this, instead of this float, if you will even write int, and you will get an error. Same error. Invalid return for a string with base 10. That means this string cannot be converted into a integer value by using this astype. You cannot convert this into a string. So what I mean to basically say, if you know this thing, let me explain you this thing. If you will write here, let's see why I was getting this error. You understood this? No, let's move to the one thing that I would like to explain you. If you, let's say, write float and let's write some value 454, what will happen? And if you run this, it get converted into floating point values very easily. And let's say if you will do float float, and then if you will do, let's say, 454, fine. And if you will run this is my string. But, and it get also converted into this thing float, and I get the output. Nothing wrong here. Now let's do one thing. Take the same thing and simply attach G here, small g. Then run this. Now you will get an error. Only the difference in these and this is that here it is able to convert this string into a floating point values because this string contains only a single quotation, or even it can contain a double quotation. Instead, in spite of this single or double quotation, it doesn't contain any character value that I want to say. That's why it get converted into float. But here, this string, this single or double quotation, inside this single or double quotation, there is some character value. So that's why whenever some character value will be there or some alphabetical value will be there, kind of thing will be there, in that case, it will not be able to convert that into a float or int. And that's why I'm getting this error. Could not convert a string to float. So in the next session, what I'm going to discuss, how to deal with this. So how you can convert the given data frame, this nutrition data frame, the column of this data frame into a particular data type. So we will understand this in the next session. So that's all for the day. Hope there is no doubt still here. So I'm going to this code here. I'm going to commit this code. astype method discussed in this session. Commit the code. Yes. Sync changes. Okay. So we are able to do this. So guys, if you guys face any difficulty while going through the videos, definitely you can comment in the description section of the, you can comment in the video. So if you guys are having any doubts related to the presentation, you can definitely comment. And if you want to attend my free live session, you can subscribe my Telegram channel. The link is given in the description section of the video. You can go there and subscribe my channel. And because I post my live classes joining link in the Telegram channel, it's completely free of cost. Those of anyone, if you wants to come, you can come. That's all. Let's meet tomorrow in the next session, the 13th session of Pandas, and we will continue from where we have left today. Fine. Thanks for coming. Keep learning, keep smiling. Good night. Take care.